Hi, I'm Enchanting Nubianette. Welcome back. And if you're viewing my channel for the very first time, welcome. Everyone, this is not a rumor or a future policy. New Jersey is currently, right now, freezing bank accounts of individuals owing back child support legally and under long established authority. The regulations were actively enforced just a few days ago. The code section was last amended on June 5, 2023, and remains fully operative, stated by the Legal Information Institute. New Jersey Child Support Enforcement Programs confirms the use of bank account matches, freezes, and levies as a standard practice. New Jersey child support courts and child support agencies have implemented notices, frozen account procedures, and the 30-day challenge window, which started on July 29th. New Jersey State uses the multi-state financial institution data match system. First, it's used if a non-custodial parent has either 3 months worth of missed support payments or at least $500 in arrears, where only arrears are owed, and the person isn't making any regular payments. The financial institutions must report the individual's account info to the state for matching the New Jersey child support. Second, banks must freeze and levy funds automatically when the Department of Child Support OCSS identifies a match. A formal levy or lien is issued to the bank. The bank is required to immediately freeze all matching accounts and then remit the seized funds as directed to the Legal Information Institute. Third, the account holder is sent a notice of intent to levy. The individual has 30 calendar days to object or appeal administratively based on mistaken identity or exempt funds to challenge the department. And they can sign up and use special forms like the certification in objection to levy. This must be filed. And unlike many creditors who must sue and obtain a judgment, child support arrears is classified as a high priority government debt. This gives the state the authority to levy accounts directly without a court judgment. The New Jersey law explicitly requires financial institutions again to freeze and levy accounts meeting the arrears criteria on the department's notice. Now remember, everyone, men can get a DNA test while a woman, is pregnant. So men, make sure that you step up, be assertive. There are several reliable methods to determine paternity before the baby is born. There's 3 types of prenatal paternity testing. First, there's a non-invasive prenatal paternity test, most common and is the safest test, and this is available as early as 7 to 9 weeks into the pregnancy. A sample of the mother's blood is taken, which contains fetal DNA fragments. A cheek swab from the alleged father is also collected. The lab compares the fetal DNA with the father's DNA, and there's no risk to the baby because it's non-invasive. It's also 99.9% accurate, and the cost is usually around $1,000 to $2,000 and is not covered by insurance, as you probably guessed. The second way is the chorionic villus sampling, CVS. It's invasive and a little bit riskier. It's performed at 10 to 13 weeks, and in this procedure, a needle or catheter takes a sample of placental tissue through the cervix or the abdomen. Fetal DNA is then matched to the father's sample. Now, the risks are that may be a slight miscarriage, which is a 0.5 to 1%. And this is typically done for medical reason, genetic testings. But of course, it can be done for paternity tests. It does require consent and participation from the OBGYN. And the third test is an amniocentesis. This is also invasive. It's performed at 15 to 20 weeks. A needle draws the amniotic fluid from the womb. The fluid contains a fetal DNA which is compared with the father's sample. Once again, this carries a small risk of 0.1 to 0.3%, and this usually is done for prenatal diagnostics. But it can include the paternity testing if requested. And if the male does not have sufficient funds, maybe he's not working, perhaps he has other expenses, when the woman carries a child, communication should be maintained so that a paternity test can be made or done promptly after birth. In cases where the woman claimed a man to be the father of her child and he does not agree, again, paternity tests should be completed right away. Otherwise, the male should be responsible if he knows it's his child to make payments on his own accord prior to the bank seizing his funds. Now I'm going to share information about exempt funds. These funds may be exempt from seizure. This includes Social Security payments, child support received, welfare, unemployment benefits, etc. And if a man wants to contest a levy, any New Jersey resident can file objections within 30 days and claim exempt status. Now, to do this, he has to fill out a certification in objection to a levy packet, include documentation like bank statements showing the nature and source of the funds, submit document to the special civil location or township in that county where the case originated. And here's the outcome of all of this. Every day since this has happened, since July 29th, people are filing complaints because their accounts were wiped out overnight. And remember, this just happened, so there's going to be many more complaints. And for anyone who has automatic payroll deposits, it's gone. Rent money, it's frozen. The bills that are due, the person will be stuck not having a balance. The most affected population are the working class parents who thought small past due balances were manageable. On the flip side now, critics say that these freezes punish people before due process, with no court representation and no prior warning. Well, if you live in a state, you need to be, kept abreast of the changes in the laws, especially if you meet these circumstances. Supporters argue it's a necessary tool to enforce support and ensure children get paid. Yes, and I do support all children. We know that having children is a huge expense. If you're having intimacy with people, you need to be responsible to what happens afterwards if you have a child. Legal experts warn that New Jersey residents who owe child support, this system is being used right now, with accounts pulled clean in the early morning hours, leaving affected individuals scrambling to pay basic bills. And here are tips for other residents living in other states. Always pay through your state's child support enforcement agency or designated payment system. Never pay cash directly to the other parent unless ordered by the court, and get a receipt, because other U.S. states may adopt this law and retrieve your bank funds if you owe child support too. So everyone, use wisdom. Official payments create a verifiable record that protects you in court. So everyone, that's all I have to say for now. Make sure that you are acting responsibly, taking care of your children. Okay, that is your legacy. What are your thoughts on bank accounts being frozen to obtain back child support? Please leave your comments below, and please remember to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thanks a million, and stay safe wherever you are. Have your head on a swivel at all times.